There comes a moment in everyone's life when you look around and you feel completely alone. Not just physically alone, but spiritually, emotionally, utterly isolated. You're standing in the middle of your own life, and it feels like nobody understands you. Nobody sees you. Nobody cares about your dreams or your struggles. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can sit down in that loneliness and make it your home. Or you can recognize something profound, something that will change everything for you. That moment of loneliness isn't your curse. It's your invitation. It's your calling. It's the universe tapping you on the shoulder and saying, now is when you learn who you really are. See, most people spend their entire lives looking outside themselves for validation, for approval, for someone to tell them they're okay, they're worthy, they're enough. We're trained from childhood to seek the approval of our parents, our teachers, our peers. We learn to measure our worth by how many people like us, how many friends we have, how popular we are, how much attention we get. And then one day all of that falls away. The people you thought would always be there aren't there anymore. The relationships you counted on have dissolved. The support system you believed in has crumbled, and you're left standing there completely exposed, completely vulnerable, completely alone. But here's what I want you to understand right now, right in this very moment. That feeling of being alone, that sensation that you have no one, it's not the end of your story. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of the most important relationship you will ever have in your entire life. It's the beginning of your relationship with yourself. It's the beginning of your relationship with that infinite source of power that lives inside you. That divine spark that has been there since before you were born and will be there long after your body returns to the earth. When you feel like you have no one, what you're really feeling is the discomfort of finally having to face yourself. And I know that's uncomfortable. I know it's scary because when you're alone with yourself, you can't distract yourself anymore. You can't hide behind other people's opinions. You can't blame your circumstances on someone else. You can't say, well, if only my parents had been different. If only my spouse understood me. If only my friends supported me, then I could be happy. Then I could succeed. Then I could be the person I'm meant to be. When you're alone, all of those excuses fall away and you're left with the raw truth of who you are and who you're capable of becoming. Now, I'm not saying that human connection isn't important. Of course, it is. We're social beings. We're meant to connect, to love, to share our lives with others. But what I am saying is that you cannot build a meaningful life on the foundation of other people's presence. You cannot make your happiness dependent on whether someone stays or goes. You cannot give away your power to anyone else and expect to live a life of purpose and meaning. Your power, your strength, your worth, it all comes from within. It always has. It always will. When you understand this, I mean really understand it, in your bones, in your soul, everything changes. Loneliness transforms from a burden into a gift. Solitude becomes sacred. Those moments when you have no one become the moments when you have everyone, because you have yourself and you have that infinite intelligence that flows through all of life that some people call God, that some people call the universe, that some people call consciousness or spirit or love. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you recognize it's there and it's available to you in every single moment, especially in those moments when you feel most alone. Let me tell you something about the greatest leaders, the greatest artists, the greatest teachers, the greatest healers who have ever walked this earth. Every single one of them spent significant time alone. Every single one of them had periods in their lives when they felt isolated, when they felt misunderstood, when they felt like nobody got them, nobody saw their vision, nobody believed in what they were trying to do. Buddha sat alone under a tree. Jesus went alone into the desert. Muhammad retreated to a cave. These weren't coincidences. These weren't accidents. This is how transformation happens. This is how you connect with something greater than yourself. This is how you tap into that infinite well of wisdom and creativity and power that exists within you. The world tries to convince you that being alone is a problem that needs to be solved. Turn on your television, scroll through social media, listen to the advertisements, and what do you see? You see messages everywhere telling you that happiness comes from being part of the crowd, from having lots of friends, from being in a relationship, from being popular, from being connected. And yes, connection is beautiful when it's authentic, when it's real, when it comes from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. But the kind of connection the world sells you, the kind that says you're only complete when you have someone else, that's not connection at all. That's dependency. That's fear dressed up as love. Real connection starts with you being connected to yourself. Real love starts with you loving yourself. Real support starts with you supporting yourself. When you can stand on your own 2 feet, when you can look in the mirror and say, I am enough exactly as I am right now. Not because of what I've accomplished, not because of who loves me, not because of how much money I have or what I look like, but simply because I exist. Because I am a manifestation of this infinite creative intelligence that created galaxies and oceans and mountains and stars. When you can say that and mean it, then you're unstoppable. Then nothing can shake you. Then you can rise no matter what circumstances you face. You see, the universe has this interesting way of working. It will often remove people from your life, not as punishment, but as preparation. It will create space, sometimes painful space, sometimes lonely space, so that you can grow into the person you need to become. Those people who left, those relationships that ended, those friendships that dissolved, maybe they weren't meant to go with you where you're going. Maybe their role in your life was to teach you something, to show you something about yourself. And once that lesson was learned, once that purpose was fulfilled, they naturally moved on, and so did you. Even if it didn't feel natural at the time, even if it felt like your heart was being ripped out of your chest. But think about it. Think about the times in your life when you've grown the most, when you've learned the most, when you've become the strongest version of yourself. I'm willing to bet that many of those times came during periods of struggle, during periods when you felt alone, when you felt challenged, when you felt like you were in the dark and you couldn't see the way forward. Because that's when growth happens. That's when transformation occurs. Not when everything is comfortable and easy and you're surrounded by people telling you how great you are. But when you're uncomfortable, when you're challenged, when you're forced to dig down inside yourself and find resources you didn't even know you had. So, if you're sitting there right now feeling like you have no one, feeling like you're all alone in this world, I want you to shift your perspective. I want you to see this not as a problem, but as an opportunity. This is your chance to become self-reliant. This is your chance to develop an unshakable inner foundation. This is your chance to stop looking outside yourself for permission to be great, for permission to be happy, for permission to live the life you were meant to live. This is your chance to give yourself that permission. And how do you do that? How do you rise when you feel like you have no one? You start by changing your thoughts. Because everything, and I mean everything, begins with thought. Your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings create your actions. Your actions create your results. If you're walking around thinking, I'm all alone, nobody cares about me, I have no support, I can't do this by myself, then guess what? That becomes your reality. Not because it's true in any objective sense, But because you're creating it with your thinking, you're focusing all of your mental energy on lack, on absence, on what's missing. And so that's what you experience more of. But what if you change those thoughts? What if instead of thinking, I have no one, you started thinking, I have myself, and that's enough? What if instead of thinking, I'm all alone, you started thinking, I'm being prepared for something greater? What if instead of thinking, nobody supports me, you started thinking, I am supported by an infinite intelligence that has my back in every moment? Would your experience change? Absolutely it would. Not because your external circumstances changed, but because you changed. Because you shifted your focus from what's missing to what's present. From what you don't have to what you do have. From fear to faith. This isn't about positive thinking for the sake of positive thinking. This isn't about pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is about recognizing a fundamental truth about how life works. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a creator of your circumstances. The experiences you have in your external world are reflections of your internal world. Change your internal world. Change your thoughts. Change your beliefs. Change your focus. And your external world will follow. It has to. That's how this whole thing works. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's easy to say, but you don't know my situation. You don't know how hard my life has been. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how many people have let me down, how many times I've been disappointed, how many times I've tried to trust and been hurt. And you're right. I don't know your specific situation, but what I do know is this. Every single person who has ever achieved anything meaningful, who has ever risen above difficult circumstances, who has ever transformed their life, has faced challenges, has faced disappointment, has faced people who let them down, has felt alone, has felt scared, has felt inadequate. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't that they didn't face those feelings. It's that they didn't let those feelings define them. They didn't let those feelings stop them. You have within you right now, in this very moment, everything you need to create the life you want. You have intelligence. You have creativity. You have resilience. You have strength. You have the ability to learn, to grow, to adapt, to overcome. These aren't things that someone gives you. These aren't things that you get from being in a relationship or having supportive friends or having encouraging parents. These are things you were born with. These are your birthright. These are gifts from the universe, from God, from life itself. And nobody can take them away from you. The only person who can deny you access to these gifts is you. By believing that you don't have them. By believing that you need someone else to be complete. By believing that you can't rise on your own. Let me tell you about self-reliance. Self-reliance doesn't mean you never need anyone. It doesn't mean you never ask for help. It doesn't mean you wall yourself off from the world and say, I don't need anybody. That's not strength. That's fear. Real self-reliance means you absolutely know in your core that you're okay whether people show up or not. It means you're not dependent on anyone else for your sense of worth, your sense of purpose, your sense of identity. It means you stand on your own foundation. And from that place of strength and wholeness, you can then connect with others in a healthy way, in a way that's based on mutual respect and genuine love rather than neediness and fear. When you develop this kind of self-reliance, when you really claim your power, something interesting happens. People start showing up in your life differently. The right people start appearing. The people who are aligned with your values, who support your growth, who see you for who you really are. They start coming into your life, not because you need them, but because you're ready for them. Because you're vibrating at a frequency that attracts that kind of connection, because you're no longer desperately grasping for anyone who will pay attention to you. You're now clear about who you are and what you stand for, and that clarity acts like a magnet for the right kinds of relationships. But even if nobody shows up, even if you remain alone for a period of time, you're still okay. You're still whole. You're still capable of living a meaningful, purposeful, joyful life. Because your joy, your meaning, your purpose, it doesn't come from other people. It comes from you. It comes from what you give to the world, what you create, how you serve, how you express the gifts that are unique to you. It comes from living in alignment with your values, with your truth, with your deepest sense of what's right and meaningful and important. You know what's interesting about feeling like you have no one? It forces you to get clear about who you are and what you stand for. When you have a lot of people around you, it's easy to get confused about where you end and they begin. It's easy to adopt other people's opinions, other people's values, other people's dreams. It's easy to live according to what others expect of you rather than what you expect of yourself. But when you're alone, you have to decide. You have to choose. You have to say, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I'm going to do with my life regardless of whether anyone else approves or understands or supports it. And that's scary. I'm not going to pretend it's not. It takes courage to stand alone. It takes courage to trust yourself when nobody else seems to believe in you. It takes courage to keep going when you have no external validation, no cheering section, no one patting you on the back telling you you're doing great. But that's exactly the kind of courage that will transform your life. That's exactly the kind of courage that will make you unstoppable. Because once you develop the ability to validate yourself, once you develop the ability to support yourself, once you develop the ability to believe in yourself regardless of what anyone else thinks, then you're free. Then you're truly free. Freedom isn't about having no responsibilities or no challenges. Freedom is about not being controlled by your need for other people's approval. Freedom is about living according to your own inner guidance rather than the expectations and opinions of the world around you. Freedom is about waking up every day and asking yourself, what do I want to create today? How do I want to show up today? What difference do I want to make today? And then doing it whether anyone notices or not, whether anyone cares or not, whether anyone applauds or not. This is what it means to rise when you feel like you have no one. It means you become your own source of strength. You become your own source of encouragement. You become your own source of love. And I know that might sound sad to some people. They might think, how sad to have to be your own source of love. But it's not sad at all. It's powerful. It's liberating. Because when you love yourself, when you truly, genuinely love and accept yourself exactly as you are, then you're not looking to get love from others to fill a void. You're not in a relationship because you need someone to complete you. You're not desperate for friendship because you can't stand being alone with yourself. Instead, you overflow with love and you share that overflow with others. You connect with others from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. The relationships you form from that place are completely different. They're healthier. They're more authentic. They're more fulfilling because both people are whole on their own, coming together to share and create and grow, rather than two incomplete people clinging to each other, hoping the other person will fix what's broken inside them. You can't fix what's broken inside you by finding the right person, by getting into the right relationship, by making the right friends. You fix what's broken inside you by going inward, by doing the work, by facing yourself honestly, by developing a relationship with yourself and with that infinite source that's always available to you. So, how do you practically do this? How do you rise when you're feeling alone? Let me give you some specific things you can do starting right now, today, this very moment. First, you change your inner dialogue. You become aware of how you're talking to yourself. Are you beating yourself up? Are you telling yourself you're not good enough? You're unworthy. You're unlovable. Nobody wants you. Those thoughts are lies. They're not true. They're just habitual patterns of thinking that you picked up somewhere along the way, probably when you were young and vulnerable and didn't know any better. You can change them. Every time you catch yourself thinking a negative thought about yourself, you stop it. You interrupt it. You say, "That's not true. That's just an old pattern." And you replace it with a true thought. "I am worthy. I am capable. I am loved by the universe itself. I have everything I need within me to create the life I want." Second, you spend time in silence. You spend time alone with yourself, not distracting yourself with television or social media or busy work, but really being present with yourself. You sit quietly. You breathe. You listen. You ask yourself questions. Who am I really? What do I truly want? What are my gifts? What is my purpose? What am I here to do? You don't force answers. You just ask and listen. And over time, the answers come. They bubble up from that wise place inside you. That place that knows. That place that's connected to something greater than your small ego self. Third, you take action. You don't wait for someone to come along and rescue you, to give you permission, to tell you it's okay to start living the life you want. You start now. You start small if you have to. You take one tiny step in the direction of your dreams. You do one thing today that makes you feel alive, that makes you feel purposeful, that makes you feel like you're expressing who you really are. Maybe it's writing, maybe it's painting, maybe it's going for a walk in nature, maybe it's starting that business you've been thinking about. Maybe it's learning that skill you've always wanted to learn. Whatever it is, you do it. You take action because action creates momentum and momentum creates more action. And before you know it, you're moving forward. You're making progress. You're creating a life that feels meaningful and purposeful. And you did it yourself. You didn't wait for anyone else. You didn't need anyone else. You just started. Fourth, you practice gratitude. I know it's hard to be grateful when you're feeling alone and things aren't going the way you want them to, but gratitude is one of the most powerful tools you have for shifting your state, for shifting your energy, for shifting your experience. Every day you write down 3 things you're grateful for. Not huge things necessarily, simple things. I'm grateful for my breath. I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for hot water. I'm grateful for this body that allows me to move through the world. I'm grateful for my mind that allows me to think and learn and create. I'm grateful for this moment right now because I'm alive and I have another chance to create something beautiful with my life. When you practice gratitude consistently, you start to notice all the ways you're supported, all the ways you're blessed, all the ways life is actually working for you rather than against you. You start to see that you're not alone at all. You're part of this vast interconnected web of life, this intelligent universe that's constantly supporting you, guiding you, providing for you in ways you don't even recognize because you're so focused on what's missing rather than what's present. Fifth, you serve others. This might sound counterintuitive. You're feeling alone. You're feeling like nobody cares about you. And I'm telling you to go out and care about others. Yes, exactly. Because one of the fastest ways to get out of your own head, to get out of your own suffering, to get out of that feeling of loneliness and isolation is to focus on someone else. It's to ask yourself, how can I help? How can I contribute? How can I make someone else's life a little bit better? When you serve, when you give, when you focus on contributing rather than getting, something shifts inside you. You realize you have value. You realize you have something to offer. You realize you matter, not because of what you get from others, but because of what you give. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop needing people and you start serving people, that's when real connection happens. That's when real relationships form. Because people are attracted to those who give, to those who contribute, to those who make the world better just by being in it. When you're needy, when you're desperate, when you're looking for someone to fill the void inside you, people can feel that and they pull away. But when you're whole, when you're giving, when you're overflowing with love and purpose and creativity, people are drawn to you. They want to be around you. They want to connect with you. But even if they don't, even if you give and serve and contribute, and you still don't form the connections you want, you're still okay, because you've discovered something more important than connection with others. You've connected with yourself. You've connected with your purpose. You've connected with that infinite source that flows through you. And that's enough. That will always be enough. Let me tell you something about the nature of reality, about the nature of this universe we live in. You are never actually alone. Never. You think you're separate. You think you're isolated. You think you're this individual self that's cut off from everything else. But that's an illusion. That's not how reality actually works. At the deepest level, at the level of consciousness, at the level of energy, at the level of spirit, we're all connected. We're all part of the same source. We're all expressions of the same infinite intelligence. You are literally made of the same stuff as the stars, as the oceans, as the mountains, as every other person on this planet. You're not separate from life. You are life itself expressing itself in a unique way as you. When you understand this, when you really get this, loneliness becomes impossible. Because how can you be lonely when you're connected to everything? How can you be isolated when you're made of the same consciousness that created galaxies? How can you be alone when the same divine intelligence that grows flowers and spins planets and beats your heart is with you in every single moment, breathing, you living, you expressing itself through you? The only reason you feel alone is because you've forgotten this truth. You've bought into the illusion of separation. You've believed the story that you're just this small, limited, separate self that has to struggle and compete and fight for survival in a hostile universe. But that story isn't true. You are not small. You are not limited. You are not separate. You are infinite consciousness having a temporary human experience. You are the universe itself looking out through your eyes, touching through your hands, loving through your heart. When you remember this, when you reconnect with this truth, everything changes. You walk through the world differently. You don't feel like a victim anymore. You don't feel powerless. You don't feel like life is happening to you. You realize life is happening through you as you. You realize you're a creative force, a powerful being, an expression of divinity. And from that place of knowing, from that place of power, you create. You create beauty. You create love. You create meaning. You create a life that reflects who you really are. And yes, you'll still face challenges. You'll still have difficult moments. You'll still experience pain and loss and disappointment. That's part of being human. But you won't be destroyed by those experiences. You won't let them define you. You won't let them stop you, because you know who you are. You know where your power comes from. You know that no matter what happens in your external world, you have an unshakable foundation within you that can never be taken away. This is what it means to rise when you feel like you have no one. It means you go within. You connect with that infinite source. You remember who you really are. You claim your power. You change your thoughts. You take action. You serve. you create. You become self-reliant, not in a way that walls you off from others, but in a way that makes you whole, makes you strong, makes you free. And from that place of wholeness and strength and freedom, you live your life fully. You express your gifts completely. You make your unique contribution to the world unapologetically. People might not understand you. People might not support you. People might not even notice what you're doing. But that's okay. That's not why you're doing it. You're not doing it for applause. You're not doing it for recognition. You're not doing it for approval. You're doing it because it's who you are. You're doing it because you can't not do it. You're doing it because you're here to express something unique, something that only you can express. And whether anyone else gets it or not is irrelevant. Your job is not to make people understand you. Your job is to be yourself fully, completely without apology. And when you do that, when you really step into who you are and you stop trying to fit into other people's boxes, stop trying to live up to other people's expectations, stop trying to be what others want you to be, something magical happens. You become magnetic. You become powerful. You become free. And that freedom, that power, that authenticity, it's attractive. It draws people to you, not because you need them, but because they're inspired by you. They see someone who has the courage to be themselves. Someone who has the strength to stand alone if necessary. Someone who has found that inner source of power and joy and meaning. And they want that too. They want to know how you did it. They want to learn from you. They want to be around your energy. But even if that doesn't happen, even if you remain alone, you're still living a life of meaning and purpose and joy. Because those things don't come from others. They come from you. They come from living in alignment with your truth, with your values, with your deepest sense of what matters. They come from giving your gifts, expressing your creativity, making your contribution. They come from being who you really are rather than who you think you should be. So, if you're feeling alone right now, if you're feeling like you have no one, I want you to hear this. This is not the end. This is the beginning. This is your opportunity to become everything you're capable of becoming. This is your opportunity to stop looking outside yourself and start looking within. This is your opportunity to claim your power, to trust yourself, to believe in yourself, to love yourself. This is your opportunity to rise. And you will rise not because circumstances change, not because people show up, not because life suddenly gets easy. You will rise because you decide to rise. You make a decision right now in this moment that you're not going to let feeling alone stop you. You're not going to let the absence of support define your limits. You're not going to wait for permission or approval or validation from anyone else. You're going to give yourself permission. You're going to validate yourself. You're going to become your own source of strength and love and encouragement. And from that place, you will create a life that's beyond what you can currently conceive. You will do things you didn't think were possible. You will become someone you didn't think you could be. You will rise in ways that surprise and delight you. Because when you tap into that infinite source within you, when you connect with that divine intelligence that flows through all of life, there are no limits. There are only possibilities. There are only opportunities. There is only potential waiting to be expressed. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are connected to the source of all life, all love, all power, all creativity. You are an expression of that source. You are a miracle. You are a gift. You are here for a reason. And that reason has nothing to do with whether people understand you or support you or appreciate you. That reason has to do with who you are and what you came here to express and contribute and create. So rise. Rise in spite of your circumstances. Rise in spite of feeling alone. Rise because you can, because you're meant to, because the world needs what you have to offer. Rise because you're tired of playing small, tired of waiting for someone else to give you permission, tired of living according to other people's expectations. Rise because you deserve to live fully, to love deeply, to express completely. Rise because that's who you really are. You're not someone who stays down. You're not someone who gives up. You're not someone who lets circumstances dictate the quality of your life. You're a creator. You're a force of nature. You're an expression of infinite possibility. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to show yourself in the world what you're truly capable of. Don't waste it by feeling sorry for yourself. Don't waste it by waiting for someone to rescue you. Don't waste it by believing the lie that you can't make it on your own. You can make it. You will make it. You are making it right now, in this very moment, by choosing to see your aloneliness not as a curse, but as a gift, not as a limitation, but as an opportunity, not as an ending, but as a beginning. So breathe, center yourself, connect with that power within you, and then take action. Take one step forward. Do one thing today that moves you in the direction of the life you want to create. And then tomorrow do it again, and the next day do it again. One step at a time, one day at a time, you will build a life that's meaningful and purposeful and joyful. You will create relationships that are authentic and supportive. You will find your tribe, your people, those who see you and get you and appreciate you. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you claiming your power, trusting yourself, and rising regardless of whether anyone else is there to witness it. Because the most important witness is you. The most important approval is your own. The most important relationship is the one you have with yourself and with that infinite source that lives within you. When you get that right, when you nurture that, when you develop that, everything else falls into place. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you become strong. You become resilient. You become unshakable. And from that place, you can handle anything life throws at you. You can weather any storm. You can overcome any obstacle. You can rise no matter what. This is the truth. This is the way. This is your path forward. Not waiting, not hoping, not depending, but claiming, trusting, creating, being who you really are, being powerful, being free, being yourself fully and completely with no apology and no hesitation. That's how you rise when you feel like you have no one. You become the one. You become the one you've been waiting for. You become the support you've been seeking. You become the love you've been craving. And in becoming all of that for yourself, you inspire others to do the same. You light a path that others can follow. You become a beacon of possibility. So rise now. Rise today. Rise because you can, and because you must, and because the world is waiting for what only you can give. Rise because you're done playing small. Rise because you're tired of being held back by fear and doubt and the need for approval. Rise because it's time. Your time. This is it. This is your moment. Don't let it pass you by. Seize it. Claim it. Make it yours. And in doing so, you will not only transform your own life, you will transform the lives of everyone you touch, everyone who sees your courage, everyone who witnesses your strength, everyone who is inspired by your willingness to rise when you felt like you had no one. You've got this. You've always had this. You just needed to remember, and now you do. So go out into the world and show it what you're made of. Show it that you don't need anyone else to give you permission to be great. Show it that you're powerful beyond measure. Show it that you're here to make a difference. And most importantly, show yourself. Show yourself what you're capable of when you stop doubting and start believing. When you stop waiting and start creating. When you stop playing small and start rising. This is your life. This is your moment. This is your opportunity. Make it count.